All right. Sorry. I stepped on your line. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Action Theater Presents. Today's feature is 1917 from the year 2019. Commentary only, as we cannot show these here on said YouTube because we're restricted by copyright law and the rules and regulations of said YouTube. And we don't want to be sued by the major studios, so because we don't have the copyright, can't afford to lease out the copyright. So, so that's why we're commentary track only. But we provide a screening room where you can view the film along with us, and we will give our commentary. And deleted scenes, YouTube Ronin will read the synopsis.
Okay. Today's film is 1917 from 2019. Historical drama takes place during the final days of World War I. So at the height of the First World War, two young British soldiers, Schofield and Blake, are given a seemingly impossible mission. In a race against time, they must cross enemy territory and deliver a message that will stop a deadly attack on hundreds of soldiers, Blake's own brother among them. Okay, so it's co-written and directed by Sam Mendes, starring George Mackay, Dean Chapman, Andrew Scott, Richard Madden, Mark Strong, Benedict Cumberbatch, Colin Firth, and a few others that we're going to be seeing along the way that I'm sure I'm forgetting. So, all right. And Sam Mendes has said that there are elements to this film that are based on his grandfather's own war experiences. So, and this was a film that was shot to appear to be done in one take.
One continuous
shot from beginning to end. So I'm sure we're going to be talking about that as well. Of course, stay tuned for till the end of the film, and you will get my the trivia section from IMDb Pro. Now, as Bill said, we cannot air the movie on YouTube as much as we would like to. We would have to severely edit it down or turn it into a slideshow, and we'd rather just show the film. So what we're going to do is once we have started the film, we're going to put up the commentary only banner to let you know where to begin to sync up. And also, the film is available on Blu-ray and 4K, and is also available on Fandango at home, which is where we're going to be getting the film from. So what you can do, if you're with us live, will be to follow along with us on Cosme. The link should be pinned to all of our chats. Let me get that up there for you. And there you go. Also want to say hello to a few people who have joined us here in the live chat. Snorda Poopus Cuber.
Oh.
FK. Yes. FKHC 2005, sometimes known as Tim. All right.
Daniel Berry Sports Highlights.
Oh, yes.
Saying, hey, happy Thursday, guys.
Sorry, Thursday. I did not scroll all the way down. All right, there we go. Yes, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Good to see you, sir. All right, and thank you to everyone out there who might be following along, even if it's only for a few minutes. Make sure to hit the like, share out the stream. Memberships are available. In fact, I am. I'll just go ahead and announce this. I'm actually going to have a member stream Sunday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. So, if you would like to become a member of my channel, join me there. Hello to the bird woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary.
Okay, here we go. We're get a 5-second countdown, and we'll be playing. Should be playing.
Okay.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
Universal logo. DreamWorks logo.
FKH in the screening room has put the trenches that still stand. Well, it looks like I added aluminum siding.
April 6th, 1917.
We see a field of dandelions, both yellow and the white ones where you blow where the seeds blow away.
And we open on Schofield, who's played by George Mackay. And the guy's kind of been into war for a while, and he's a little more cynical about things. And we also meet Blake, played by Dean Charles Chapman. And he's a little more idealistic. And fans of Game of Thrones might remember him as Tommen from that program, the king that self-deleted. And he also showed up later on Into the Badlands.
That's really creepy. The picture of the human remains that remain.
It's sadly what they had, you know.
Yeah.
That's all they could do.
A mix of French and German bones.
Yeah.
You know, and these films are basically reenactments, and they try to stay as true as they were to the true events. But all in all, these are depictions of war, and it's pretty graphic, and especially this one. But I really enjoyed that they decided to do it all in one shot.
Colin Firth.
They're basically walking into a kill box, a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap. That is a lot of men at stake for.
Right.
Blake's like, no, I'm going to try to get to my brother before he marches into his death.
Andrew Scott. Hmm. And our first look out of the trench and into no man's land. And not a pretty picture. And he gets his hand cut into barbed wire. Must seem like they're on another planet. Yeah. Ah. Hello to Big Al Presents. I'll be joining Al tomorrow night on his channel for Films with Friends and a very different movie, The Emperor's New Groove. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. for Steve. Cross no man's land into the German trenches and have found an underground barracks and tunnel system. Whoops!
That almost killed him.
Rat set off the explosive, which caved in that section of the tunnel and buried Schofield. So now they got to get out before the whole thing goes. Timestamp 29 minutes, 20 seconds.
The good thing it was a short distance.
Yeah.
That gap was any further apart, they'd be in trouble. They almost didn't get out of there with their lives. This is all the shells. They destroyed their guns. That's a really big mine area.
Mhm. Uh, yeah, Tim dropping knowledge in the Cosme chat. There are still parts of France where the battlefields are that are no-go zones. A lot of unexploded stuff, including gas. It's very true. Um, Sadly, from any war-torn area, um, where I live,
Most
every once in a while they'll find something unexploded from like the Civil War or even the Revolutionary War. You know?
This is crazy. Can you look at the size of these shells from these guns?
Yeah.
Massive. They're massive shells. Meaning the huge artillery. I mean, of the shells that massive. Imagine the bullet or whatever. What would they call it? The ordnance. Here we come. They come out of the no like,
Mhm.
and it's just green. It's just amazing how they go from one all rocky and now it's all green.
Of course, they saw those planes fly over going into the direction they're not going to, and now those planes are not coming back.
They chopped down the cherry blossom trees. That's just not right. Dog that got probably caught in the crossfires. This residence is shot to hell and looks like it before it even got bombarded. Looks like it been there for centuries. Mhm. Yeah, he's got a bad feeling about this.
Yes, he does.
Cow mewing.
Cows.
Yeah, comes across a bucket of freshly milked cow milk. Plane's coming and it's not friendly.
German plane engaging with the two British planes we saw earlier. Yeah, well, they got him coming this
And the
way.
plane's coming right towards you. And this guy's an enemy, and yet they're helping him.
Hmm.
Hello and welcome, Raquel. Hello, Raquel SSG. Took, took a shot right in the gut.
Yeah,
That's a
he stabbed him.
that
Yeah.
that oh, bad wound right in the gut.
Yeah.
Pretty much a game over. Always good to see you, Raquel.
This is pretty well done. You can just see all the color go out of his
Yeah.
face. Oh, he was on Game of Thrones as well. Oh.
Yes, you are. Okay, Raquel. Yeah, go could you ask me a question? You might recognize him from
Mhm.
the Kingsmen and Kick-Ass.
Yeah, we got a few Kingsman people in this movie, actually. I get why they did it this way, but this is actually the part of the movie I have like the most problem with. Number one, they didn't hear all these guys coming, and How did they get trucks that far through the German lines? There's no way.
Oi, oi, oi. Love how to say it, oi. Well, they went and got themselves in a tiff, didn't they? They're right in the mud.
Okay, take care, Kel. Hello to Enigma Severus. And Tom Baker, 4586. Good to see you. Been a while. Bill, do we have a timestamp
Yeah.
for folks? Okay, we got
Yeah.
1 hour and 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Yeah, there he is. Mm. The one time the movie cuts away and cuts away because he was knocked out. So it's basically become this cat and mouse game through this maze of what's left of this town. Illuminated by fire and occasional flare. ruins. He's found this French woman with a child. It's not hers. Uh, Jamie Lynn. As much as we would love to stay in chat, unfortunately, we're in the middle of a mission. Whoops. This would be so much easier if you lived in a van down by the river. Approaching our third act here.
Oi. The commanding officer is none other than Bendermit Cumberbatch, aka Doctor Strange. Hi ho, Silver! Timestamp 1 hour, 35 minutes, 16 seconds.
How are you planning on doing that, kid?
He's trying to
That's
save
fine.
your lives.
Yeah.
He just saved a whole bunch of his
Yeah.
countrymen.
the wounded from the first wave.
Here we go.
Kind of ironic how we started in a field of dandelions to another field.
The reveal that he did have a family to go back to. This doesn't talk about them. Lance Corporal Alfred H. Mendez, 1st Battalion, King's Royal Rifle Corps, who told us the stories.
You're welcome, everybody. It is that time to who shall the YouTube Ronin consult the scrolls?
All right. 1917 was widely released in the US on January 10th, 2020. Estimated budget of 95 million, going on to gross more than 446 million worldwide. Was nominated for 2 Saturn Awards as Best Action Adventure Film and for Best Music. Was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the Japanese version of the Oscars. And speaking of the Oscars, was nominated for Best Picture, Director, Original Screenplay, Production Design, Makeup and Hairstyling, Musical Score, and Sound Editing. Going on to win for Visual Effects, Sound Mixing, and Cinematography. Won another 134 awards and 202 nominations. All right. Filming locations included Salisbury Plain, Wilton, for the trains and the farm, Fell Gate, Tyne. These are all England, Scotland. Govan Graving Docks, Glasgow City in Scotland. Shepperton Studios Road, Shepperton, Surrey, England. Low Force Waterfall, Bowleys, New Biggin, Bernard Castle, County Durham, England. Tees Barrage, International Whitewater Center, Tees Barrage Ways, Stock-on-Tees, County Durham, England. Schofield floating into rapids. Hankley Common, Elstead, Godalming, Surrey, England, exterior set, German Trench. Bovington Airfield, Chesham Road, Bovington, Hemel Hempstead, Hertfordshire, trench set. Bowleys, Newbiggin, Bernard Castle, County Durham. Says that a few times for some reason. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. It repeats a lot for some reason. All right, moving on to the trivia. All right, this is Sam Mendes' second war film. His first was Jarhead. This is his first official writing credit. Benedict Cumberbatch, Mark Strong, and Colin Firth all previously appeared. Holland was approached for the role of Lance Corporal Blake, but had to turn it down due to scheduling conflicts with reshoots of Chaos Walking. Oh, he got screwed. The movie was shot from April to June 2019 in Wiltshire, Hankley Common, and Govan, Scotland, as well as Shepperton Studios. Conservationists concerned that filming on Salisbury Plain could disturb potentially undisturbed remains in the area requested an archaeological survey to be conducted before any set construction began. Sections of the film was shot in and around Low Force on the River Tees, Teesdale on June 2019. The production staff posted signs warning walkers in the area not to be alarmed by the bodies strewn around. Reunites Richard Madden with Dean Charles Chapman after Game of Thrones. Benedict Cumberbatch and Andrew Scott previously worked together on the series Sherlock, with Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes and Scott as James Moriarty. Also, Mark Strong played the villain Lord Henry Blackwood in Sherlock Holmes, starring Robert Downey Jr. Andrew Scott and George Mackay previously worked together 5 years earlier in the movie Pride. Mark Strong and Daniel May starred in the TV series Temple. George Mackay has acted in one other project whose title also consists entirely of digits, the TV miniseries 11/22/63. This is Universal Pictures' second film to be specially formatted for IMAX in the expanded aspect ratio of 190:1. Since Oblivion, flashback sequences were letterboxed into 139:1. It's Sam Mendes' second film to be specially formatted for IMAX since Skyfall, which was also shot by Sir Roger Deakins. The sixth project Benedict Cumberbatch has worked on that revolves around a war. The other five were Atonement, Small Island, Warhorse, Parade's End, and The Imitation Game. Reunites Cumberbatch with Mark Strong after another war movie. They were both in The Imitation Game set during World War II. Reunites Mark Strong with Colin Firth after Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Kingsman, Secret Service, Kingsman, Golden Circle, and Fever Pitch. Inspired by Sir Sam Mendes' grandfather's experiences in World War II, the autobiography of Alfred H. Mendes, 1897-1991. Over 5,200 feet of trenches, just under 1 mile, were dug for the film. Although based on an original screenplay, the basic premise of this film, getting a message to a frontline unit to cancel a military push, was also used in Peter Weir's World War I set film Gallipoli. One of the biggest headaches for the film crew was a cigarette lighter that wouldn't work on cue in one scene, leading to several retakes and wasting most of a day's filming. April 6, 1917, the date on which the story begins, as shown by a subtitle at the start of the film, is the date that the United States declared war on Germany and its allies. The United States' entry into the war is not mentioned in the film, as British soldiers on the front lines in northern France would not have heard the news until much later. It took 6 months for the actors to rehearse the movie before shooting started. Lieutenant Leslie sprinkles whiskey on Schofield and Blake while reciting the prayer, "Through this holy unction, may the Lord pardon thee whatever sins or faults thou hast committed." Andrew Scott is known for playing a priest in the second season of the highly acclaimed BBC Prime series Fleabag. My condolences. The verse that Schofield recites to the French baby is part of the poem The Jumblies by Edward Lear. The poem could be seen as a metaphor for Blake and Schofield's mission. Though the sky be dark and the voyage be long, yet we can never think we were rash or wrong. The film is dedicated to Sam Mendes' grandfather, a Lance Corporal in the King's Royal Rifle Corps during the Great War. The King's Royal Rifle Corps merged with the Royal Green Jackets in 1966, then merged with another Redcoat Regiment to form the Rifles in 2007. The lighting rig used for the burning church was 5 stories high and consisted of 2,000 1K tungsten lamps, a total of 2 megawatts. It was one of the largest lighting rigs ever built for a film, if not the largest. According to director Sam Mendes, the burning church was the largest rig ever created for his DP, Sir Roger Deakins, by gaffer John Biggles Higgins. The myriad lights were transformed into the blazing inferno by visual effects in post-production. The flares flying over the ruined town were suspended on wires in order to control the direction of the shadows they cast. They're also designed to burn with a warmer color that was closer to tungsten light. Roger Deakins chose to shoot most of the film on an RELX LF digital format camera using several lens types, the first time he had used this particular camera in his long career. One of the main credited production companies is Neal Street Productions. It is named after the street in Covent Garden, London, where the Donmar Warehouse Theatre is located. Sir Sam Mendes was the artistic director of the theatre for 10 years, near the beginning of his career, which is where he made his name and reputation as one of Britain's best theatre directors. Mendes says his grandfather Alfred, who entered World War I as a 17-year-old in 1916, carried messages to no man's land. He was 5 feet 4 inches tall and was often hidden by the winter mist that reached as high as 6 feet. 2 years in the muddy trenches left Alfred with a lifelong habit of washing his hands frequently. He didn't talk about his wartime experiences until he was in his 70s. Mendes saw Paths of Glory when he was about 10 years old. When he reviewed it while making this film, he realized long uninterrupted tracking shots in Stanley Kubrick's World War I drama were not as lengthy as most people thought. Referring especially to one major scene, Mendes has joked that no rats were harmed in the making of this film. The rats are, in a way, the residents of the land. It's the humans who are passing through. And the rats aside, I mean, the fact that this retreat happens in the spring of 1917 meant we could make another personality in the movie, another character in the movie. Dean Charles Chapman and Richard Madden played brothers, but do not share a scene. Both actors had prominent roles in Game of Thrones, this time as enemies. They only shared one scene together. Chapman played a captured Lannister family member in season 3 before he was recast as Tommen Baratheon. And we all know how that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that first step, son. It's Lulu. Anyway, yeah, he doesn't fare much better in the Badlands, honestly. Poor guy, he keeps getting killed. Sam Mendes and editor Lee Smith stated that despite the apparently continuous shot broken by only one interval of unconsciousness, actually dozens of invisible edits were made, concealed by transitions to black moves behind objects and so on. According to Mendes, the shortest unbroken shot was 39 seconds long, while the longest single continuous shot was 8.5 minutes long. That first prestige war film to be nominated for the Academy Award for visual effects in nearly 50 years. The last prestige war films to be nominated were Patton and Tor, with the latter film taking the prize. General Aaron Moore says to Schofield and Blake, down to Gehenna or up to the throne, he travels the fastest whoever travels alone. He's quoting the story of the Gadsbys by Rudyard Kipling. Kipling also wrote My Boy Jack about his 18-year-old son who died in World War One. And My Boy Jack has also been made into a movie with Daniel Radcliffe and Bernard from Four Weddings and a Funeral plays Kipling. It's actually not a bad movie. Yeah, very sad, but very good. The Rudyard Kip. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me read that again. Sorry. The Rudyard Kipling quote that's said by General Aaron Moore as a way of telling Schofield and Blake that they must travel through hell in order to complete their mission. Gehenna is a valley in Israel used for burning trash in ancient times, which was referred to by Jesus in the Bible as a symbol for the punishment of the second death or eternal destruction, annihilation. The British soldiers routinely referred to the German soldiers as Boche or Huns. Boche originated from the French slang, a word I am not going to attempt to pronounce, meaning rascal. The term Hun originated with the ruthless reputation the German soldiers got because of the harsh way they dealt with enemy soldiers and civilians alike. Other used terms were Fritz and Jerry, though they didn't become popular until World War II. Soldiers drink alcohol in many scenes. During World War I, battle rations include 2.5 fluid ounces of alcohol. Soldiers behind the lines got it twice a week. Those on the front lines got it daily with double rations when they went over the top. This is the second time George Mackay portrays a soldier in World War I. The first was in Private Peaceful. Other than images in the family photos, the woman hanging up laundry in the beginning of the film and the young woman who offered Schofield shelter and the young baby she's caring for are the only female characters to appear in the film. The retreat of the German forces was part of a real event called Operation Alberg. It was a tactical German retreat to the old Hindenburg line, which was more easily defended. However, the date the movie provides is an error, as Operation Alberg took place from February 9th to March 20th, 1917. What is real is the devastation and the booby traps the Germans left while retreating. Because changing focal lengths would, in most cases, cause the hidden edits to become apparent, the majority of the film was shot on a single 40mm lens. In conjunction with costume designer Jacqueline Duran, sound designer Stuart Wilson experimented with various fabrics in which to conceal wireless lavalier mics on the actors, testing the noise of various wool and leather materials. According to Roger Deakins, over 90% of the film was shot with an Arri 40mm signature primes, the exceptions being a 47mm for the river scenes and a 35mm for the gym basement and tunnels. Using a pair of Lexa Mini LF prototypes for the first time. Deakins was delighted with the color sensitivity and ability to shoot interior night sequences, rated at 1600 ISO without forfeiting image quality. The first bunker lit with what appears to be oil lamps are actually prop lamps fitted with 50-watt electric bulbs dimmed down. Throughout the shoot, the production had 4 basic rigs that were always at the ready to be able to take advantage of the changeable weather conditions. Chief meteorologist was on location the entire time. The photographic equipment used throughout this film is a product of the German company Arri, founded in Munich in 1917 by August Arnold and Robert Richter. The company name is derived from the founder's surnames. After Schofield and Blake leave the collapsing German bunker, they come across an abandoned artillery site. When walking through, they walk only on the duck boards. This would have been out of habit. Duck boards were placed on the ground in entrances as a safe way to walk in mud-covered grounds and as a measure to prevent trench foot. Early German World War I planes were built with canvas, but Germany's first all-metal fighter plane was built in 1914 as a prototype. By 1917, the Germans were manufacturing metal-body planes, many built by Junkers and Albatross. Cinematographer Sir Roger Deakins won a total of 40 awards for his work on this movie. Hope is a dangerous thing was also said by Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption. This film, to an extent, can be considered the British version of All Quiet on the Western Front. Like the latter film, this film centers on young men trying to survive the horrors of the Western Front, with Schofield being the main protagonist, while the other films centered on the Germans. In an interview, Christy Wilson Cairns said that George Mackay never left the day of shooting without shaking everyone's hand. He knew everyone's name, had time for everyone on set, all the assistants, all the runners. He knew everybody's name. He spent a lot of time learning about them and learning about their lives. Blake mentions to his superior officer that he was hoping to be home by Christmas. When the war broke out in 1914, many people infamously predicted the conflict would end by Christmas that year, but the war would go on till 1918. In Christmas 1914, both sides of the war, especially the British and the Germans, sang carols, mingled with each other, exchanged gifts, and even played football, soccer together. However, from 1915, fraternizing with the enemy was forbidden. The plot involving the two men delivering a message is very accurate. Soldiers were hired as runners to deliver messages on upcoming attacks. But due to the dangers in walking through mud on average, by the time the message was delivered, it was already too late to stop the attacks. It was the last film to win the Academy Award for Best Sound Mixing, before the award was combined with Best Sound Editing as a single award for Best Sound. Sir Roger Deakins reveals a total of 48 edits in his commentary on the film. 1917 was the year the Battle of Passchendaele took place, which was infamous for the muddy battlefields. Rats are seen feeding on the corpse of a dead soldier. Rats were an infamous problem in the wars. They feasted on bodies of the dead and reportedly grew as big as cats. Near the end of the film, one wounded soldier has blackened feet, which is strongly implied to be gangrenous. Gangrene was very common among soldiers in World War I, especially for those who stood in mud and flooded grounds for long periods. The only treatment was amputation. And the movie was filmed and edited to make it seem like one continuous shot. Alfred Hitchcock created this effect 71 years previously in Rope, a movie I recommend if you ever get a chance to see it.
What's it called? Rope?
Rope, yeah. It's got Jimmy Stewart in it, and basically these two college guys, kill one of their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They put his body in a trunk, then proceed to have a dinner party where everybody is in a room with this corpse.
Mm-hmm.
It's messed up. It's very good. It's got, like I said, it's got Jimmy Stewart in it. It's pretty good. And it's only like about 80 minutes long, so it doesn't waste any time. All right. At the beginning, many British soldiers were either sleeping or sitting around in the trenches. Millions of men were killed or wounded in action, but most soldiers in the trenches saw little to no action. Defending was easier than attacking, as both the British, French, and Germans tried to break the deadlock, which took a few years. Typically, soldiers cleaned the trenches, fixed barbed wire, wrote letters home, and tried to sleep whenever possible. Boredom was the common on the Western Front. The Sikh soldier uses an Indian licensed reproduction of the Lee Enfield rifle, with a darker wooden stock and a golden pin insignia near the buttstock instead of the British Army issued Lee Enfield, which sadly he would ordinarily have been on the other side of. The light of the big church fire is actually from one of the biggest lighting rigs ever made for a film, 5 stories high with two 2001K tungsten lamps that took 2 megawatts of power. The fires were added by visual effects. Schofield is seen loading 5 rounds into his rifle. Later on, he shoots 9 times without reloading. The Lee Enfield magazine holds 10 rounds, but were usually only loaded with a single stripper clip of 5 to reduce wear and tear on the magazine's spring. They are preparing 10 rounds for battle. Schofield encounters 2 German soldiers named Baumer and Mueller. Both characters are in All Quiet on the Western Front, a 1929 book that depicted the struggles of German soldiers in World War I. The 2 collisions that Schofield has with 2 soldiers were unplanned, but George Mackay continued running. The rule on set was to keep acting no matter what, until director Sam Mendes said cut. The partners are both corporals. In the First World War, the casualty rate among corporals was extremely high because the NCOs would be ahead of their men when advancing. Many who were elevated to the rank of corporal during boot camp would rip off their stripes on the boat to France so that they would have a better chance of surviving. German trenches were in much better condition than British trenches. The Germans anticipated the war would last a long time and tried to make their trenches as comfortable as possible, with underground bunkers and even electricity in some parts. General Aaron Moore's quote from the Kipling poem "The Winners" advocates selfishness, specifically taking credit for other people's work or accepting help from friends and refusing to acknowledge that help. The rest of the movie is a deliberate refutation of the poem's theme. This film, along with Dunkirk, has its own fandom since both of them feature the story of ordinary British forces in a world war via an inventive style of storytelling, with Dunkirk invoking multiple perspectives that blend into each other, while 1917 evokes a style of a single take. A Webley and Scott No. 1 Mk3 signal pistol is handed over by Private Kilgore and Lieutenant Leslie to Blake before going into no man's land. German soldiers can be seen carrying Mauser-Geiger 1898 rifles. The British officers are armed with Webley MKV-1 revolvers, which are mainly seen holstered, including by General Aaron Moore, Lieutenant Leslie, Captain Smith, Colonel Mackenzie, Major Hepburn, and Lieutenant Blake. No location is ever repeated due to the constant momentum in real time. At one point, as Schofield is moving alone through the ruins at night, as his path is lit sporadically by flares, he pauses briefly near a poster on the wall just above a fire hydrant. This is an homage poster of a circus, which Sir Sam Mendes' grandmother grew up in South America during the 1920s and 30s. A particularly versatile rig used on the shoot was the Airy Trinity 5 Axis Hybrid Stabilizer, as operated by Charlie Resnick. Similar to the Steadicam 3-axis apparatus, the Trinity is more versatile in that its boom maneuverability includes the facility to crane up and down, as well as circle subject. For the scene in which maggots crawl over a dead man, the maggots were purchased from a fishing tackle shop the previous day. They were kept in the fridge in the provided container with sufficient ventilation. The maggots were later placed on a large blue sheet spread out in front of the camera. The shot of the maggots was then digitally placed on the man's face during compositing. Whenever ravens are on screen, they are filmed on blue screen and digitally placed in the scene with the dead in bomb craters. Sam Mendes persuaded many of the stars in the supporting cast to appear in small roles on the condition they would not be asked to promote the film when it was released. When the protagonists jump into the first abandoned German trench on the front line, there is a sign on the concrete wall in the foreground that reads 1 gas fodger, 1 Elmer, 1 Strange, 1 Spaten, which means 1 gas fan, 1 bucket, 1 pole, 1 spade. Equipment storage to clean up after chemical attacks. The sign in the background, Deutschgang verboten, means that it is prohibited to go through there. The next legible sign they arrive at, next to a passageway, says Swider Graben, second trench. Okay, this film marks the third time that George Mackay portrayed a soldier in World War I. He first played the character of Private Douglas in the TV miniseries Birdsong, and later portrayed the titular character in the movie Private Peaceful. The Kipling quote, Road to Gehenna, or Up the Throne, etc., is also referred to in the title of Road to Perdition, an earlier film by Mendes. In the Swedish subtitle, The Road to Perdition is even translated to Gehenna. The first film role of Claire de Burgh reunites George Mackay with Richard Madden after Birdsong. This is the second movie that Roger Deakins has shot to feature a year being in the title after 1984 and 1984. Mark Strong and Colin Firth starred in the first two movies of the Kingsman franchise, Kingsman Secret Service and Kingsman The Golden Circle. However, just like this movie, the prequel of the Kingsman franchise, The Kingsman, is also set during World War I. Upwards of 500 extras were used in some scenes. Blake mentioned his leave was abruptly canceled and that it may be related to the anticipated big push. This is likely a reference to the Battle of Arras, which began on the 9th of April, 2 days after the events of the film take place. Adolf Hitler was a runner or message carrier for the German army in World War I, just like Blake and Schofield in the movie. The second highest grossing World War I film after Wonder Woman, which I don't consider a World War I film. I'm sorry. It just takes place in World War I. And yeah.
Right.
The only film directed by Sam Mendes in the 2010s that wasn't a James Bond film. Schofield immediately drops his rifle after killing a crashed German pilot. Later, he is targeted by a sniper while crossing a fallen bridge. He cocks the rifle before attempting to fire back at the sniper's position, expelling the spent round in the chamber. At the beginning of the film, when the soldiers walk into the trenches, there is a sign that says Stanley Avenue. This is likely a nod to director Stanley Kubrick and his use of trenches in the film Paths of Glory. Steadicam operator Pete Cavacluti developed his own camera rig nicknamed the Dragonfly, which he used while following the actors through the trenches. George Mackay said the cast and crew were often left rehearsing for hours while waiting for the weather and the sun to cooperate. Mendes said the land cannot be longer than the scene, and the scene cannot be longer than the land. So you have to rehearse every step of the journey and every line of dialogue on location. The final scene of Schofield finding Lieutenant Blake and presenting him with his brother's rings was the very first take, according to Sam Mendes and Lee Smith. Although intended to appear as happening in real time, there is one exception. When Schofield passes out after storming the hideout of the sniper shooting at him from the bridge house, as he confronts the sniper, it's daylight, but when he regains consciousness, it's dark. However, from Schofield's perspective, it happens in real time. It is also the most notable cut in the entire film, which is otherwise doctored to look as if it's entirely one shot. Of course, the film achieves this through movie magic, but in fact contains many exceptionally long and complex shots, some over 8 minutes long. The beginning and ending shots both focus on a soldier sitting under a tree. An extra said, "I can't help but laugh at the final shot of the tree. About 100 extras used that tree to urinate on, as the toilets were so far away. We had no idea that the ending would take place with the main actors sitting under it." of a pivotal of a pivotal scene. Sorry, what? Of pivotal scene with woman with the baby. That's weird. So Sam Mendes explains that when he was writing the script in October 2017, my daughter was born a month earlier, so my youngest child was very much in the house, and I suppose it has something to do with that. I also found it very difficult to shoot because, this poor little creature, Ivy, her name was, she's not aware she's in a movie, and the way she behaved in the scene is so moving. The opening and closing scenes of the film both show Lance Corporal Schofield sitting against a tree. This was done to create two bookends on the film, but also give the feeling of a journey being completed. When Schofield plunges into a river filled with dead bodies, Mendes describes this was meant to remind the audience of the mythical river Styx bordering hell, especially as the scene evolves. And lone hero Schofield is soon led to safety as he follows the ethereal solo voice of a singing comrade. The narrative seems to shift from a tone of naturalism to one of epic myth. Despite being such a graphic war film, only 4 soldiers are shown to be killed in combat. The German pilot, Lance Corporal Blake, the German sentry by the bridge, and the German soldier strangled. There are many soldiers behind Corporal Schofield in the final charge who were seen falling from presumed gunfire or caught in explosions. A small jeep was used for more complicated tracking shots, such as when Schofield discovers that the shadowy figure near the burning church is an enemy soldier. The camera had been following him up to this point. Then as Schofield slowly realizes that he's in danger, he starts to move backward as the camera operator climbs smoothly onto the jeep and races off with Schofield in pursuit. The events involving the found milk being added to the canteen and later given to a woman looking after a baby that is not her own are almost certainly inspired by an almost identical account given by Sergeant Richard Tobin, Hood Battalion, Royal Naval Division, that occurred in the fall of Antwerp in October of 1914. The account ends, the British government had lost a water bottle, but a baby found a meal. During the long sprint scene at the end of the movie along the trench while the soldiers run out to battle, Schofield bumps into a soldier and falls but gets back up and continues running. Apparently this was accidental, but instead of calling cut, they kept it rolling, which made it look more realistic and obviously made it into the movie. Also, he had to run a quarter mile in that take. While it has often been noted that Schofield's first and last scene saw him sitting under a tree, Blake's first and last scenes are also similarly bookended, showing him laying on his back, face towards the sky, eyes closed. Even though Schofield and Blake are the main characters in the film, Blake dies before the halfway mark of the film. Lieutenant Blake is briefly visible on the blood-soaked photo. Corporal Blake shows Schofield as he's dying. When asked why he's not sending a full unit to deliver the message, General Aaron Moore replies to Rudyard Kipling quote. Initially, this seems like an erroneous quote by the general because he's obviously sending 2 men, not 1. But it becomes tragically prophetic when Blake is killed and Schofield must continue the mission alone. When Schofield stumbles upon a female French civilian who's caring for the orphaned infant, she asks him if he has any children of his own. Schofield doesn't answer, but the glimpse of the photo he carries with him at the end shows that he does. And thank you to Denobly, if I'm pronouncing that right, for subbing over on Bill's channel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Cool.
Lieutenant Leslie snarks to Schofield that he'll surely get a medal for the mission. Nothing like a scrap of ribbon to cheer up a widow, which visibly annoys Schofield. In the end, it is revealed that he actually is married and is worried enough about making his wife a widow. While the 2 men are exploring an abandoned German structure, Schofield and Blake spot a few eerie reminders of the absent men's sweethearts and family members, like names scratched into plaster and an abandoned family photo indicating the extreme haste of the German withdrawal. Both men seem suspicious of why such a thing would be left behind. This foreshadows both men's own significant family photos, Blake's abandoned unanswered remains, Schofield's carried to the end. Early in the movie, Blake and Schofield discuss Schofield trading a medal he earned for a bottle of wine. Blake, confused, tells Schofield it's more than just a piece of tin. Later, the letter from the general would have been destroyed in the river if it wasn't in Schofield's tin case. Blake consistently hesitates to kill, even when necessary. His hesitancy to kill the tripwire rat in the trenches mirrors his failure to kill the German pilot that would go on to take his life. He says, "I always knew I should have shot that rat," but doesn't learn his lesson. Schofield and Blake find an abandoned farm after going through a camp of chopped cherry trees. The camera then focuses on the exact spot where Blake's going to have to fight. A captain cries near the end of the film. At first glance, it appears he doesn't want to fight. He actually has shell shock, now known as post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. As the war went on, many soldiers lost their sanity due to the number of deaths, the dangers of trench conditions, and the fact that they could die or be wounded at any second of the day. Those who refused to fight could be executed. Between August 1914 and March 1920, 346 British and Commonwealth soldiers were executed by firing squad for cowardice, desertion, or a handful of other offenses. The Armed Forces Act of 2007 gave posthumous pardons to 306 of the executed soldiers. Of the 40 soldiers not pardoned, 37 were executed for murder and 3 for mutiny. Schofield's uniform is a good indicator of his mental state. At the start, he's in full kit and somewhat chatty but irritable. By the time he loses his helmet and rifle, he is panicked and terrified. After losing his webbing, he's down to his basic uniform. Schofield breaks down sobbing before dazedly stumbling towards a group of soldiers, barely able to speak. After Schofield kills the German pilot, he doesn't cock his rifle after the second shot. He then doesn't fire his weapon again until the bridge sniper, where he cocks his weapon before firing, as he hadn't done it before killing the pilot earlier. A symbol of life, death, beauty, and violence, cherry blossom petals appear at the end of the river when Schofield reaches his final destination, perhaps a sign from his friend Blake, watching from above, as he had spoken about them just before he died. All right. That is it. That's all the trivia from IMDb Pro. Scrolls are closed. All right. I do want to remind everyone that on Sunday at 4:30 p.m., Western Cinema presents, and this week's movie is going to be Two Mules for Sister Sarah with Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine. That'll be at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday at its regular day and time. All right. All right. And I also want to remind everyone that the next edition of Action Theater will be on June the 4th at 5:30 p.m. And we're going to be watching The Mummy Returns with Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, Patricia Velasquez, Freddie Both, and The Rock is the Scorpion King. So check that out. That'll be at 5:30 next Thursday. All right. As for myself, later on tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central will be my program Coming Attractions. Get to find out what I'm going to be doing in the next week, up to and including my appearance tomorrow night at 8 p.m. On Big Al's channel for Films with Friends. And we're going to be watching The Emperor's New Groove with voices including David Spade, John Goodman, Eartha Kitt, and Brock Samson himself, Patrick Warburton.
Cool.
All right.
Excelente.
Indeed. Go ahead.
I changed Western Cinema. We'll be doing 2 meals for Sister Sarah. I think we've done it before, but I saw it and I like it. Kind of like it a lot, but and it's available to watch on Prime, and it's leaving Prime on that day, so I was like, why not? Yeah. Anyway, that's what we got. That's what we got coming up on Sunday.
Right on.
And next week, we're starting June. Action High Adventure. So we're rolling out next week with The Mummy Returns. I'd like to thank everybody who joined us today. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. And as I always like to say at the end of these things, always remain to be excellent to one another. Party on, and we will see you at the next one. That's it.
All right. And I would like to thank everyone who was following along with us today. I know we had somewhere around 70 people watching at one point. There may have been more. It usually is. And for those of you who joined us today, even if it was only for a few moments, thank you very much. I do want to remind everybody once again that if you're coming upon this broadcast late, you can either follow along with our commentary with your own copy. The film is also available on Fandango at home. And as I always say, at the end of every broadcast, from HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, and of course our second home office in Arizona, good night, take care, stay strong, be safe and healthy, because this is how we win.